For years, a presentation that looked this good meant hours of fiddling to get right, but I've spent weeks finding the best workflow for making stunningly beautiful and professional slides really fast. And in this video, I'll walk you through it so you can make your own from a single sentence. So the whole thing runs on two tools, and they each do a very different job. You write the presentation in Claude first, and then you build it in Replit Design. Claude handles the words and the order they go in, which is the actual argument the slides are making. Replit Design takes that and turns it into the finished slides. And the reason you split it like that is the exact thing most AI slide tools get wrong. They jump straight to the design and hand you a good-looking presentation that says nothing. So you start with the writing, and the design comes second. The writing starts in Claude. I'll open it up and paste in a master prompt I wrote for this, and it's in the free document below. It's the one piece worth saving, because every presentation you make after this starts from the same prompt, and you swap in the new topic. All you're doing is filling in the blanks. Your role, the topic, how many slides you want, then who it's for, and the tone you're going for. The role is the one worth being specific on, because act as a market analyst and act as a startup founder pull the writing in completely different directions before you've even touched the tone. Those last two settings matter more than they look, because the audience and the tone change the whole presentation even when the topic stays the same. The same talk aimed at investors comes back with more of the numbers, and aimed at a room of students it comes back simpler, with more explaining along the way. For this one, I'm writing a persuasive presentation on the creator economy in 2026 for a general audience in about 10 slides. The slide count is worth thinking about rather than guessing at, because it decides how much each slide has to carry. Ask for 20, and each one only has to make a small point. Ask for 6, and it has to choose the 6 that matter and drop everything else. I go with 10 because that's about 15 minutes of talking, which is what most rooms give you anyway. 2 lines in that prompt do most of the work, because they're what makes it build an argument instead of just listing facts. The first is how it writes the titles. You tell it to write each title as the takeaway itself. So a slide about market size comes back titled, "The creator economy has doubled to $250 billion in 2 years." A title like that stands on its own, so even someone half watching gets the point. A plain title like market size just makes them wait for you to explain it. That one change makes the whole presentation look like someone who knew what they were doing built it. The second is the order it all runs in. I tell it to build the presentation as one argument from the first slide to the last, where each slide sets up the next. It opens on a problem, lays out the evidence, and ends on what it means for the person watching. And building it as one argument instead of a stack of separate slides is what keeps people with you, because each slide is answering the question the last one just raised, so they're following one line of reasoning instead of sitting through a list of points. I'll run this on Fable 5, though Opus 5 works just as well. They're the 2 strongest models Claude has today, and research like this needs the good ones. It goes and reads the web for the current numbers, then builds the presentation on what it finds. And it means you're not the one looking up every figure yourself. A minute later, the full thing comes back, every slide laid out. Each title's written as a point, with the main message underneath. Then there's a rough layout, and speaker notes to go with each one. It's easy to overlook those speaker notes. They're the words you'd say out loud, so you can talk to your audience instead of reading off the slides. I don't take it all as it comes though. I read it through and cut the slide that repeats itself. And if a whole section of it feels thin, I'll say so in the chat, and have it rework that part before I go anywhere near the design tool. It's much quicker to fix an argument while it's still text, because changing a line here takes seconds, and changing it after 10 slides have been built around it means redoing the slides as well. Then I reword a couple of the titles, and at the end it writes me one more prompt ready to paste into Replit Design. And that's the whole reason for writing it first. By the time I get to the design tool, the hard part's done, and every slide's already planned out. So that's the writing sorted, and now it just needs building. Replit Design is the tool that builds it, an AI design suite where an agent works alongside you. The link's in the description if you want to follow along, and it opens on a prompt box with a row of options underneath. Those options are what you want it to make. Everything from a website, to a mobile app, to a data dashboard. The one I'm after is slides. I'll click slides so it knows what we're after, then paste in the prompt Claude wrote and send it. As soon as I send it, it starts building. No questions, no setup, no back and forth about what I want it to look like. And that's the prompt doing its job, because Claude already settled all of that before any of it got here. The slide count, who it's for, the tone, the order the argument runs in, all of it went in with the paste. So there's nothing left for it to ask me. This is the part you'd feel if you skipped the first step and came straight here with a topic in your head. You'd be the one filling in every gap, and you'd be filling them in after it had already built 10 slides around the wrong assumption. And if you do want it looking different, you don't set that up front. You say so in the chat once it's built, which is how the whole tool works anyway. Now it goes to work, and you can watch it happen. It thinks in the chat on the left and lays out its plan, saving a checkpoint so you can roll back anytime. That checkpoint's worth knowing about, because if a later change makes something worse, you drop straight back to the last good version instead of trying to undo it by hand. Then it starts building the slides on the canvas over on the right. About 30 seconds later, the full presentation is sitting there finished, and honestly, it came out looking really, really good. The charts on the market size slides are sharp, and the numbers are easy to read, which is usually the first thing a tool like this gets wrong. The slide I'm not sold on is the second to last one, where the text sits tight against the edge, but that's a 2-second fix, and every other slide holds up. And if it comes comes back and the whole direction is off, you're better off changing the prompt and running it again than fixing 10 slides one at a time. A rebuild costs you 30 seconds. Going through a presentation you don't like slide by slide costs you the rest of the afternoon. And there's the whole presentation on screen, and now I get to shape it into exactly what I want. That first version is never quite it, and you fix it here by telling the presentation what to change. If I only want to swap a word, I click the edit button on the top right and type, the same as any editor you've used. It updates on the spot. There's a full set of manual controls too. It's an edit panel that runs from font size and weight through to layout and colors if you like getting in and nudging things by hand. But the faster move is the chat, because I can click any part of a slide and describe what's wrong in plain English. The more specific you are, the less you end up going back and forth. Telling it to make a slide better gets you something different, but not necessarily something you wanted. Telling it the number needs to be the first thing you see, or that the text is sitting too close to the edge, gets you the change you actually had in mind because you've told it what's wrong instead of asking it to guess. On that main market slide, the big figure isn't standing out enough for my taste. I click the box, open the chat, and tell it to make the number pop. My message goes in and the agent reworks that one element. A few seconds later, the figure is bigger and bolder and stands out on the slide exactly like I asked. The changes go further than looks too. On one of the middle slides, the point is buried in a wall of stats, so I ask it to turn that into a simple bar chart. Instead of restyling the words, it rebuilds the whole slide around the chart. So you look at what's on the slide, tell it what to change, and it handles the design for you. A couple of rounds of that, and the presentation matches what I had in my head. I'll save it as a template with the button up top. Next time I need slides, I start from this exact style instead of a blank page. A few presentations in, and you've got a small library of your own layouts to pull from. And this is where it starts saving you real time, because the first presentation takes a few minutes, but by the third one, the prompt, your saved templates, and your own style are doing most of the work, and you're really just picking the topic and letting it run. And if you've got a brand, the design system is the feature you'll get the most out of. You can save your fonts, colors, and logo once as a design system, and every future presentation gets built in that style automatically. That way a client presentation and an internal one come out looking like the same brand, with none of the setup each time. It's the bit that matters most if you're making these for other people, because a client notices when a presentation is in their colors but not quite their brand. Same on a team, where everyone building their own slides usually ends up meaning a different style and a different font in every deck that goes out. Now it's built and on brand, and the only piece left is getting it in front of people. A presentation is only any use if you can get it to your audience without a hassle, and Replit Design gives you a few easy ways to do that. The quickest option is right there, a present button that drops you into full screen so you can run through the presentation live. And there's no setting up beforehand, you just hit present and you're straight into it. If your team already uses something else, the export button sends the presentation out to PowerPoint, Google Slides, or a PDF. It slots into what you're already using. You can also invite a collaborator into the project with a link when it isn't a one-person job, so they can comment straight on the slides instead of you emailing versions back and forth. That saves the mess of 5 slightly different copies going around, because everyone's working on the one live version. The last option is publish, and it's the one I use most. I hit publish, and Replit Design puts the presentation on a live link of its own. I can open it on any device and present the presentation from the browser, straight off my phone if I have to. There's nothing for anyone to download or install. And because it's a link, you can put it in an email or a calendar invite, and it opens the same for everyone. You export when someone needs the file itself, or wants it offline. And you publish when you'd rather send a link that updates the second you change a slide, so nobody's ever looking at an old copy. That one saved me more than once, because I'll change something the night before, and everyone who already has the link sees the new version without me sending anything. With a file, you'd be attaching it all over again and hoping people open the right one. And it barely matters what the presentation is for. Whether it's a pitch to investors or a talk in class, it's the same 2 steps every time, written with Claude and built here. And those 2 steps stay the same, no matter what you pointed at. And what started as one sentence is now a finished presentation done in a few minutes. And the part that stuck with me is publishing the whole thing to a link you can present from anywhere. You only feel how easy that is once it's your own presentation on that link. So head to Replit through the link below, build your first one, and share it today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.